Hello, my name is Matthew, and I just finished reading The Adolescent by Dostoevsky. This is translated by Richard Pever and Larissa Volonkonsky. It's the only translation that I have, the only one that I've read, and I just reread it on this wonderful winter day. And this is also the last of the big books by Dostoevsky for me to talk about on camera. Through the years, the past 5 years, I've made videos talking about Crime and Punishment, The Idiot, and Demons, and the Karamazov brothers. And this is the last of the big books. It's usually known to be more of a minor work or a lesser work. And this was written directly before Dostoevsky went on to write the Karamazov brothers. So his right before his magnum opus, you would imagine he's at the height of his writing capabilities. And this book isn't any more. It's no more difficult than anything else you can read by Dostoevsky, but it is challenging. And from my reading experience, it's a first person perspective. We're following the adolescent. It's a 19-year-old man, Arcady, and we're reading his notes. So this is a document that the main character has written down a year since the events that are happening in this book, and there's three parts. Each part consists of a few days, a few intense, frenzied days. And then we'll have a second part, which will be a few months in the future, and then a few days, and then a third part, which is a few days, a few months after that. And what makes it so perplexing and confounding is that we really are reading the notes from the mind of a young man who thinks of himself as much smarter than he is. And what I think about is when our character is listening to other people talk, and there's his family relations, and I'll get into some of what the plot is about. But when you have a person who already believes that they know everything, they're not listening as well as they should, and so they're not understanding everything that's either being presented to them or things that are going around them. And so our character Arcady constantly believes that he knows better than everyone else around him, and he's constantly wrong. And we're getting this story through his lens, and we can tell that he's confused. He's under a misapprehension as a reader, and the story is frenzied. So this is Arcady. We He tells us straight away. He boldly announces throughout the book, with all the characters and interactions that he has, that he was born an illegitimate son. His mother had an affair with a landowner, or the landowner took it upon himself to have an affair, and so he isn't noble. He's not a legitimate son. He really that has a strong impact on his identity and his actions, how he behaves and speaks with the people around him. He had a difficult time at school. The teacher would, Touchard or Touchard, would berate and abuse him for being an illegitimate son, and would isolate him and mock him in front of the other students. But now he's a 19-year-old man during the actions of this book, and he's gone back home. And this book is just an assault. It's a high fever pitch of huge personalities swinging wildly with emotion in the conversations that they're having. And the principal characters are family members that are legitimate, family members that are illegitimate, family members that are that are legally bound, and then friends of the family and other princes and these other characters. And it feels soap operatic. Just everything is turned up to an 11. Characters that at one point could be kissing and hugging and reveling and at the heights of passion, that the next moment can be screaming and at each other's throats. And we're getting all of this through Arcadie's perspective. There are two things that happen initially that or a theme throughout the book. So one is that Arcadie, this young 19-year-old man, has a brilliant idea. And this is a really good example of the humor in the book, and also the sense of humor, Dostoevsky's sense of humor that you can find in many of his books. The first 100 pages, we have Arcadie trying to make sense of the world, deciding what kind of life he's going to lead, how is he going to succeed in life. And he says that he has this brilliant idea that it's so special. And of course, he believes that he's this incredibly special person, that the whole world has yet to find out how brilliant he is. That's kind of narcissistic mindset that he has. And as a reader, we're reading this and thinking, what is this idea? What is this very important, special, seemingly philosophical idea that Arcadie is, if we're lucky enough, going to impart to us as the readers? And after 100 pages of hearing about this great idea that he has, he tells us his idea is to become a Rothschild. So a famously incredibly wealthy family. So in today's terms, it would be I'm going to be a Rockefeller, or I'm going to be a Warren Buffett, or a Bill Gates, or whatever. And so his great big idea is that he's just going to be fabulously rich. And then, of course, the next thought might be, well, how are you going to be so rich? And he says, I'm just going to save all my money. And when I have money, I'm going to use that money to make more money. And it's hilarious. And it's relatable for a young person to have these thoughts of, I'm going to be a celebrity. I'm going to be a billionaire. Very, very funny. With these relations that we meet, his mother and his sister, he has a half-sister. I don't know how many fathers he has and how many mothers he has. He has a legitimate father, an illegitimate father, his legal father, all these different characters. We meet all these princes that are either family members or friends of family members. I'm deliberately avoiding using names because it's confusing, and also I would butcher all the names. But we find out that all these different characters are all having, not all of them, but many of them are having money problems, various different kinds of money problems, and that they have secrets and scandals, and all of the characters involved swing pendulously between being friends or family, or rivals or villains. And it very much has that kind of tumbling switch back and forth of whose side are you on? That kind of feeling, twists and turns and such. And we hear all about these different inheritances and legal trials that are going on, and without getting too specific or having to elaborate too much about what's going on, because honestly, even reading the book, it's confusing. And it's not that there's too many characters or that the plot is too convoluted, which both of those things are true. It's that all of this information that's being filtered to the reader is through this confused, confounding, egotistical person that thinks he already knows everything. He's retelling us this story, and so it is kind of confusing. But he ends up with this mysterious document that he's given, and for a whole variety of reasons, there's all of these different characters that if this document is given into the wrong hands or exposed, is going to be the ruin of families and the ruin of these characters. And if it's given to another set of hands, it's going to mean prosperity and wealth and success. And Arcady has he has sewn the document into his jacket, and so he has this kind of secret power that he could pull out at any moment. Hilariously, this secret he's constantly revealing to everybody, which turns into a big source of conflict later on in the book. And another aspect that made the reading of this difficult or frustrating is, as we're going along reading this, and it's about 500 pages, 560, something like that. You get 100 pages in, 200 pages in, 400 pages in, and we have this narrator still inexplicably saying to us, I'm still getting to my point. I'm telling you all of these things because I'm still getting to something. The reason that I'm writing this is because of the thing I'm about to get to. And I'm not exaggerating. You'll be 500 pages into a book that's 560 pages, dense, long paragraphs with hundreds of pages of these high octane philosophical discussions that you find in Dostoevsky novels, talking about the state of Russia and philosophy and justice and right and wrong and mortality and morality and all of these things, with our main character constantly exploding in these conversations, wreaking havoc and embarrassing himself in full of a room of either family members or friends, or all these characters constantly just making a joker out of himself. And everything does come to a head. It really is this kaleidoscopic, piecemeal kind of puzzle. We're just getting all of these different things that are going to come together. And the accusation that this is a lesser novel compared to Dostoevsky's other big novels As I was reading it, I kept thinking about the other things that I've read by Dostoevsky, and it follow, follows more accurately with the kind of books that he has that are told to us at the beginning to be notes. So notes from underground, notes from a dead house, and it when you're reading it like that, it does alleviate some of the expectations that a reader legitimately expects when they're reading a novel. There's going to be an introduction. We're going to be introduced to characters. There's going to be a conflict that we can follow. There's going to be a climax, denouement, conclusion. This book really reads as if you're reading the notes of a young man just recording what happened the year previously. And I feel like if you read the book with that in mind, it can become incredibly more satisfying than if you're reading it with any expectation of what a typical novel does. Now, another aspect that makes this book so incredibly interesting is all of the comparison points that you can find in all the different things that Dostoevsky has written, or at least the things that I've read by him. So that notes aspect. We have a main character that's telling us, I'm writing my notes. These are the things that I'm writing. And we can see that translated into Notes from Underground and Notes from Dead House. We have themes and two really great set pieces of gambling episodes where Arcadia is going to these less than legitimate gambling houses, playing roulette and winning successfully, and then having another episode. We have a theme and a major plot point of a character becoming a double. Their mind is split. We have a character who has sexual engagement with a young girl who is mad. We have the holy fool. We have an older, godly like character that's imparting wisdom. We have crimes. This is also a very violent novel. There's at least 3 suicides. Someone else dies from natural causes. The holy fool. I'm sure there's a couple murders thrown in there. And it's just easy to start picking out these themes throughout Dostoevsky's work. It's really interesting. There's a moment, everything kind of comes up to a head, where our main character finds out that his sister is pregnant from a man who's a prince, and it's it's going to be an illegitimate child that his sister's going to have, which shakes him to the core, because that's exactly the circumstance that he's in. He goes to that person, finds out that he impregnated his sister, but he's also in love with another person, and he's been giving money to Arcady, and then also that he's a counterfeiter, and he's been running this counterfeit business. We have characters that are blackmailers. That there's a whole theme of getting this mysterious document from Arcady. All of these different things that are going on, and what I've come to my feeling is that it's almost like this dinner table of Dostoevsky dishes. So all of these things that you can find in all of these different books that he's written, you find elements in this book. I don't know if anything's done with the best execution in this book. So it might be better off reading The Gambler or The Double or whatever. But it is interesting to very, very clearly feel like you can see the themes that Dostoevsky has on his mind and is thinking about. And it really does feel frustrating getting towards the end of this book where it feels like it's been just the whole book has been so chaotic. You're just spending all this time with this teenager who's incredibly unlikable. There's very few likable characters in this book. The old man, Makar, is incredibly likable, but it's not like following Alyosha around. I had a joke. I don't know if I had said it on camera, but when I would read the Karamazov brothers and I would pick up the book, the joke that I had was always, "Oh, I'm at the part of the book where Alyosha walks across town to have an insane conversation." And it's also just right dead on similar to what's going on in this book. It's just a series of insane conversations. But maybe I'll end with reading a passage. At the very end of this book, when we know that he's written these notes, he sends, I don't know if it's necessarily this document that the character has written, but after the events that have happened, I know I've been vague, but the plot points of this book are besides the point of the reading experience. But he sends these notes to a well-respected teacher that he had in his past, and he gets reply, and the book ends in sort of an epilogue, or it's a conclusion, and it's magnificent. So this really is the very last bit of the book. And so this is a well-respected teacher responding to all of the thoughts and all the notes that our main character, Arcady, has written down. And he goes on for a while, but finally he says in response, "But notes such as yours could, it seems to me, serve as material for future artistic work, for a future picture of disorderly but already bygone epoch. Oh, when the evil of the day is past and the future comes, then the future artist will find beautiful forms even for portraying the past disorder and chaos. It is then that notes like yours will be needed and will provide material as long as they are sincere, even despite all that is chaotic and accidental about them. They will preserve at least certain faithful features by which to guess what might have been hidden in the soul of some adolescent of that troubled time. A not entirely insignificant knowledge, for the generations are made up of adolescents." And I loved that. Talk about nailing an ending, just sticking the landing. Last page, hundreds of pages have gone by. Why am I reading this chaotic mess? What is the point of all of this? Why can't our character get to the point? And at the very end of it, we get a small response from someone that's smarter than this teenager, and saying, "It's important that you're writing these things down. great things can come. And in a, I don't know if metaphysical is the right term, some meta term, the fact that we can see these great works from the man that wrote the book, the Karamazov brothers, that he wrote right after this. And the idea that this is a book of notes that could be turned into something great, and seeing that realized is truly incredible. And if you have the patience to spend time with this annoying young man, um, it really is brilliant. And satisfying. It has a payoff. Even as you're reading it and wringing your hands, thinking, "Come on, just tell us." Um, you get a satisfying conclusion. I did. So those are my thoughts on the Adolescent. Um, it's a frenzied, chaotic, um, terrific novel by Dostoevsky. So let me know if you've read The Adolescent. Let me know if you've read a different translation. I'd be interested to know. Or the original. Um, so thank you for watching. Please leave a comment if you would like. Thank you, and take care.